Thank you everyone for being here. There's a zillion people to thank on this, but first and foremost, it's so exciting to have our artist Tim Smith here, and to think that we get to now have this for the second time in our community, so that all of us as locals and our visitors can enjoy such a treasure. Thank you for being here. Tim's here from Kentucky, from Columbia, Kentucky, and we're going to let him unveil this, but there's many people to thank, and I think we'll do the unveiling so you can have the picture, and then we'll point out different people that can come up and be recognized, like Brock, who did the beautiful work here for us with Brock's concrete. I mean, so many people have been instrumental in doing this. So we'll go ahead and do this so you can get a picture with Tim unveiling this. There's almost too many people to recognize, but I will say our City Administrator, Dean, thank you for the city allowing us to bring this here, because this is a piece of property our city owns in Branson, our historic downtown, and so to allow this beautiful treasure to be brought, I'm very thankful. Back in 1990, when Tim made this statue, he created it literally on the lakefront because it's such an impressive piece. He thought maybe it was about a ton. But when the city's staff brought this here and did all the hard work under Keith's direction and Charlie, the guys thought maybe it was about 3 tons. The arm, I don't know what you call it, was just cracking and creaking. They had to change the straps one time. I mean, it was quite an ordeal to move this impressive piece here. And then to have it polished off with the amazing work you did with Brock's concrete was such a good case. But you know, the thing is, Brock is part of our family's history, like Keith Thurman, who needs to be over here too. A lot of the history involved in this statue, but we'll let Tim tell you some of that, is all ties into the Shepherd of the Hills. And Brock's family, let's see, Chris Meadows, was he the first young man in Shepherd of the Hills play? And then Hal Meadows was one of them, but I mean, there's so much history just in the people I see here. And Shepherd of the Hills, I'm going to let you tell where you came up with your ideas for this.
Thanks. One of the main things that I was working on, and it's been a while, I hadn't thought about the sculpture for many years, but as I recall some of the influences and ideas that I drew on, it was a combination of the people, the stories, the legends, the name Legends of the Ozarks was something that was important to me in terms of the culture, the music, the arts, and these kinds of things that contribute to the distinctiveness of particularly this region, but of regions where they draw on the land, they draw on the people that shape the culture and the identity of the place. This is the kind of thing that I was attempting to convey, more than just what's on the surface, but the influences like the rock formations, the square off the back reflecting the dam at Table Rock Lake and the technology and so forth, and of course the people, the figures in sort of almost expected or anticipated ways with a quilter and a fiddler and fishing. But I meant to appeal to as broad an audience as possible, and so those were the things that I drew on in creation. And it's really a great privilege and exciting to see it back up in the way. I want to thank Chris and everyone involved in their work for making it happen.
And then Keith was going to share a little something, because you know some of the history involving the statue where Shepherd of the Hills ties in, and Keith Thurman, one of the managers, and how many years at Shepherd of the Hills?
43.
43. Talk about a legend in his own right in our community, and the many generations of wonderful people and history he brings.
Well, I think this is one, I have never had the opportunity to see it until now, and I think it's really great. Loy Holliday, you fashioned the fiddle player after Loy Holliday. When I first went to work at Shepherd of the Hills, Loy Holliday at that time seemed like an older person to me, and he was there probably 30 years after I got there. Loy was kind of an icon around Shepherd of the Hills. He was in the 1963 movie. If you ever get the opportunity to see the Shepherd of the Hills movie that was made here in '63 out on property, and they used Silver Dollar City. About every other scene, you see Loy standing around rolling a cigarette with one hand. That was, I mean, that was his trick. He played fiddle in the show for years. I won't go into a big, long, boring story, but The Shepherd of the Hills was published in 1907, and a lot of folks don't realize that by the mid-1920s, it had been translated into 7 languages and was expected somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 million people had read the book all over the world. And most folks don't realize that Branson was a national tourist destination at that time. The first show in Branson was in 1927. It was a 2-act play on the front lawn of Old Matt's Cabin. It ran out there for the 20s, and then in the 30s off and on. In the 40s they moved it to Inspiration Point. A lot of folks also don't understand that in the 50s it moved down to the lakefront in 53, and by 1955 the city had literally built a theater. The city built a theater for Shepherd Hills Summer Theater to do the show in, and in '60 it went back out. So we're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year, and to have a statue as nice as this, inspired by the Shepherd of the Hills, is just really cool. It's very flattering and a real compliment. I think you're great.